Hey, welcome back. Over the past few months, I've been asked a few questions about who I am, and I decided to do a surprising facts about me video, just to let you know who I am and what I'm all about. Okay, so when I was a bit younger and I was a bit more abstract in my thinking, I used to make these little tiny plasticine elephants, and they're usually made out of red clay. And I'd put them all around a business or all around a club and just leave them in hidden little places. And I knew that at some point someone would notice these and go, "What the hell's with these little elephants?" And for me, that was a lot of fun. So most people aren't aware, but when I come across people face to face, I can see usually on an emotional level straight through people. So when people are saying one thing, I'm actually reading a whole bunch of information and can feel the essence of people, what's behind them. So I can use my intuition to actually detect like what you're all about when I come across you face to face for the first time. When going off grid, I absolutely love to go camping. It's one of my favorite things ever. There's something about setting up the tent and setting up the campfire and setting up, the eskies and the chairs and just resting and having a drink and just connecting with nature and relaxing and listening to the sounds of the water running or the wind through the trees and just completely decompressing. I love that. Okay, so I'm a bit of a night owl. I definitely don't sleep usually before 2 a.m. And so I'll stay up to 2 a.m. and go to sleep and wake up at 11. And that's usually something that I like to do. It makes me feel very happy. When I was a kid, I used to really look forward to apricot chicken. That was my all-time favorite comfort meal, with a bed of rice soaking in all the sweet juices. And just that combination was absolutely amazing for me. And these days, because I'm living on the carnivore diet, I don't eat that, but I do love it and I do cherish it. I would say seeing Fiji and looking at the lifestyle of the people who live there, the huge division between the rich and the poor, and seeing the survival versus ultra thriving sort of contrast in this beautiful tropical landscape was quite surreal for me, and it really showed me for the first time that there can be such a big division in how people live, coming from the middle class Australia. Okay, I'm going to talk about a movie. There's a childhood favorite movie called The Last Unicorn. And I think that this was actually the very first time it opened a doorway, a gateway for me to understand the archetypes of the human consciousness. It's just a children's cartoon movie, but it actually touches in very deeply of all of the Jungian archetypes. And the story itself is fantastic and it was moving and it was very evocative of emotion. I loved it. I still, even as an adult today, I still love this movie. The Last Unicorn, go watch it. When I was a child, I wanted to be a magician. I wanted to be a magic wielder. That was always my favorite character in all of these fantasy stories. Is the wise old wizard who was able to conjure magic using his will and his knowledge. And yeah, I absolutely love that. And honestly, while it's far-fetched, the closest I can get today, I think, to that is actually understanding human consciousness. And so that's probably one of the driving forces for me having such a deep interest and curiosity about it. Well, personal motto or catchphrase, I absolutely love I think, therefore I am. That was from, I believe, Dante. And that's probably one of the most profound statements anyone's ever made, ever. And I love it. If I can think, therefore I exist. And so that's that question of do I exist or not? Is the world an illusion? And is it all a big hologram? That's all sort of redundant because if you think, you exist, and that's all that matters. Oh God, the nicknames. I've had so many nicknames over the years. Rhino Dino is one of the things that stands out. Obviously, when I was 12 and 13, I had a huge growth spurt and I became suddenly much taller than the other kids. Today, I'm standing at 6'4", and I was pretty close to that when I was young. So you can imagine me towering over the other kids. And so Rhino Dinos, because my it's basically my last name is Saw, so it's Dino Saw. Um, and yeah, so that's stuck with me for a while. Um, okay, something that always makes me laugh is when you have that staring competition with someone and the goal is to not laugh. And so looking eye to eye, and then you sort of feel that smile come on your face and you can't hold it back. And it usually gets me cackling. Um, it's ridiculous, but it definitely always makes me laugh. Okay, we're getting into some pretty wild territory now. Um, there is something I would like to share, and it's something that happened to me while I was camping out back about an hour and a half, 2 hours inland from Sydney, Australia. As soon as you get inland from Sydney, you cross the mountain barrier, it becomes pretty much a desert. And it's like flat landscape as far as you can see, baking hot days, freezing cold nights, and the most beautiful bright stars, the clearest skies you've ever seen in your life. So I was camping with a couple of friends out there. We were catching scorpions. You know, these are make fantastic pets, and just enjoying, just smoking a little bit of weed, chilling under the stars, and having a good time. So we were sitting around this campfire and we noticed a bright flash to our right. Now, this is in the desert. There's no properties nearby for miles. It's basically an open, huge area. And this light appeared. There was no cars, no one's camping over there. And so basically, I was fascinated and we were staring at these lights. And it was basically three different lights. And they were like going flash. And then you see this little movement between them and flash. Then this one flash, 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 flash. And I was like, what the hell is that? We're staring at this thing like, what is this? Anyway, so I, being who I am, was like, well, I'm going to go for a closer look. And I'm off into the middle of the night, pitch black, no torch, nothing. And I'm walking through waist tall grass towards this thing because I need to get closer to this. Um, okay, here's where it gets friggin' weird. For me, went for a 5 minute walk, 5 minutes tops. I walked up there to halfway towards it. It disappeared. And went, okay, it's gone. And then I walked back. I was gone for nearly an hour and a half, according to my friends. They had started the car, they were driving it around, they were looking for me everywhere. And then I ended up wandering back after an hour and a half. Okay, I think I lost an hour and a half of my life when I went towards these lights. So that's my that is my most surreal experience. And that's all I can tell you about it, because that's all I know about it. I really had a hard time kind of gauging what people expect of me when they first meet me. But I guess they're kind of surprised by how I'm really gentle because I'm a big guy, and got a fairly strong chin, and I might look like I could potentially be pretty hard, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm really gentle, really caring, really nurturing, really loving, and I think that because I'm a big guy, maybe they don't expect that. Oh, this is a really hard question. I've actually gone through this a few times in my head in different scenarios, and um, for a whole year. I mean, it would have to be a place that's relatively safe. I gotta go back and see the building of the pyramids. Like I gotta like answer this question once and for all. How were they built? What did they do? Was it purely slave class, like they said? Did the ancient Egyptians move in and find the pyramids already existing? Like, what's the story? I gotta know. So I would go back to ancient Egypt for a year, and hopefully I don't get turned into a slave. Well, after a long day, I like to unwind with a bit of PUBG. Now, yes, I am over 40. That's why I still play PUBG. I get it. Most people are playing Battlefield 6 now, but I am very good at PUBG, so come at me. Okay, I would always consider my hometown to be Kununurra. Kununurra is this small town. It's only like a couple of thousand people at the time I was living there, and this is in the middle of what we call the Kimberleys. The Kimberleys to me is the real Australia. It's the heartland of this country. It's quiet, it's rural, sure, but around you is this red baked rock, much like the Grand Canyon you'd find in America. And there's huge, like it's a mix between the Caucasian communities and the Aboriginal communities, and they kind of have this mix together in the town, and then they have their own separate sort of accommodations and areas. I don't know what it's like today, but that's how it was when I was growing up. Um, and there is a place in the Kimberleys called Elephant Rock. Now, this place is really, really cool. It's in a massive big river called the Ord River. Now you got to watch out because there are sometimes saltwater crocodiles in there, and we used to go water skiing, and I was always terrified of getting eaten, but we did it anyway because it's hot and we had to cool off. But this rock looks just like a giant big elephant and sits in the near the middle of this big Ord River, and it's a phenomenal place. Something really mystical about it, and I absolutely love it. Okay, something kind of spooky. I was standing on the edge of a cliff, fully clothed and dressed, and I looked down at this river that was down below, and I knew how deep it was, but there's a little voice in my head that said, "Jump off," and I just did. I didn't hesitate. I just jumped, and it scared the crap out of me that I did it. It's almost like how you hear about people having ghost hands, or like it acts on that its own. This happened to me. Like I just went, oh, jump. And I just, suddenly it's in the air, falling down. And it was a long way. It wasn't a small jump, it was huge. And it really freaked me out that I did that, but I felt so exhilarated just following that. And yeah, I ended up spending 2 hours swimming and having a good time down there. And it was a good time, but it's kind of spooked me. Well, I collect crystals. It's not really something that unusual, but I have a huge crystal collection. I've been collecting it for probably like 8 years. I walk the creeks, I walk the rivers, and I pick these beautiful little crystals out, jaspers as well, agates, chalcedony, and a little bit of opalite and moonstone, and there's all these gorgeous crystals in these creeks in Australia, especially the one that's literally 10 minutes walk that way. There's a big river and it's just full of crystal. So I picked the biggest, most beautiful ones, and I might keep a few specimens. Most of them I like to leave because I kind of have this belief, and I don't know if it's ridiculous or not, but I think that the crystal actually keeps the energy of the river high. So I don't want to take too much. I like to leave a lot of it. Well, this answer has changed a lot over the years. I mean, I'd like to obviously, like most people, I was going to pick Jesus Christ for a start, or Jesus, or Isa, whatever name he was known by at the time. So I want to know because he's probably one of the most influential historical figures of all time. So clearly, I got some questions for him. Second person, I'm going to have to take my all-time hero, Carl Jung. It would be an absolute privilege and an honor to sit down with the man And I would invite him to completely tear me apart and psychoanalyze me, and it would be such an insightful event for that to happen. And I guess I'd have to take a third person that's a bit more fun. So, welcome back, Robin Williams. A personal accomplishment I'm proud of, but don't talk about too much. I would have to say, going from someone who genuinely hated themselves to someone who genuinely loves themselves. I know that sounds like something small, but it's actually huge. It's changed my perspective on myself. It's given me the ability to actually love others versus kind of superficially using or loving, like, the heart wasn't always there. It was always kind of hidden. So as soon as I started truly loving myself, I was able to truly love others. And that's been one of the most amazing transformations for me. When I feel stuck, I find that my partner is actually really amazing at helping me to get out of that. And I don't go to her and say, "Hey, help me get unstuck, please." What I do is I sit down and just have a deep conversation with her and let the natural flow of energy occur. And we have some amazingly deep conversations. I've put a couple up on my channel already, so if you want to have a listen, that's our typical conversing. So she's a coach and she works on her business all day and I work on mine. And then we come together in the afternoons or evenings and we go for a nice walk. And usually we have a nice big long chat. And that unstucks me a lot because when I get in flow with her, I get in flow of myself. It helps me to go open up all the doorways and just clear the air and like, oh, here we go. Here's the energy, here's the conversation, here's everything happening. And I feel completely woken up again. I've had to teach a class something completely unrelated to shadow work. I mean, there's always a part of me that wanted to go and teach um, English and math and geography and some of the sciences that we got to learn, even in early school here in Australia, to the underprivileged kids in Pakistan. There's this massive divide of class in that country, where the poor, they just don't get an education. There's no such thing really as public schooling. If you're poor, if you're like an orphan, if you're not from a family with money, then sorry, too bad. You don't get to learn to read or write or have any of the stuff that we take for granted today here in Australia. And I think it'd be very interesting to actually go over there and teach that and to help to build up the underclass so that they have an equal footing and an equal chance in life. I used to be a reenactor, and this was basically a 16th century reenactment. And it's not like you see with the LARPing. That's kind of a lot more fun and childish and everything. Proper reenacting is actually a very interesting historical thing. And we delve deep into period everything. So the way that we make our own clothing, the way that we get into forging of steel, pretty much as close as we can. And so basically, I had to learn proper sword fighting and fencing. I had to learn about the old ways of merchantry and yeah, just it was very interesting, and actually was pretty damn handy with sword. Oh, thanks for watching. So that's a little bit about me, and yeah, feel free to share some. I want to hear some stuff about you. Tell me a bit about yourself. What are some of your childhood dreams or ambitions? What's your go-to to unwind after a long day? Comment down below and let me know. Anyway, till next time, I'll see you then.